Hi, my name is Trisha Brown. Welcome to the Girls Get Together and the first video edition of What This Girl is Up to and Why You Should Care. I thought I would kick this vlog off by telling you a little about myself. Words have always played an important part in my life. Many of my earliest childhood memories revolve around speaking or writing. I remember hearing my mother's bedtime prayers for me and responding with questions of faith. I remember my simple prayer of salvation and later answering the pastor's questions to assure him that I truly understood what I said I believed. Perhaps even before that, I remember my uncle standing me up on a chair and asking me to preach to him and his friends. "You've got to stop smoking or you're going to hell," I would say with as much passion as a little girl could muster. I would point my finger and I would stomp my foot as they laughed hysterically at the little preacher girl. In all fairness, I'm not sure where I got that sentiment. As much as I know that my parents told me not to smoke and that it was dangerous, I never remember hearing a pastor condemn a person to hell for it. When I started to read, that opened a whole new door for me to enjoy words. And as difficult as it may be to believe, I was only in third grade when I began to understand how words would truly shape my life. My teacher, Miss Debbie, gave the class an assignment. She asked us to take our spelling words and to write a story, and I did. Every week, she would give us a new list of words, and every week we would be required to write a story. And it was then, as an 8-year-old girl in a rural Tennessee elementary school, that I fell in love with words. And from that point on, I knew I wanted to be a writer. And so I wrote. I wrote short stories, I wrote poems, I wrote songs. And in age before home computers, I created a magazine called The Christian Magazine that I would write out by hand. It was mostly populated by my own work, but I also included Bible passages. I interviewed people at church, and sometimes I asked guest authors to contribute. I would count my pennies and dimes and pay the church to make copies and give away the copies to the Sunday morning congregants. Often my readers would give me donations to help with the expense. I'll never forget when I received my first typewriter. It was just a little toy typewriter, but I would type that newspaper out on it, and I thought that the typewritten font took my magazine to a whole new level. When I was in 7th grade, I actually got my first piece published in a real magazine. It was Grit magazine, or True Grit. It's been a long time since then. It was a small article on education, and though I was paid well, I got a hefty payment of $50. I cried. It was my first experience with editing, and I was appalled. It was a whole new realization for me. The words that I put on paper, they're an expression of myself. Having someone delete portions of it, that was like being physically cut. It's a process that I've learned to live with, but it's not one that I still enjoy. I continued writing throughout high school and pursued a degree in print journalism and English with an option in writing. And that's when I learned another life lesson pertaining to my love of writing. Not everything I write has to be a deep, soul-wrenching, heart-bearing extension of myself. It's okay to use my talents to earn a living. In fact, it sometimes helps to keep a little distance between myself and what I write. And so began a career of writing and editing and working for and with other people, crafting words that were valuable in and of themselves, but that weren't really an extension of me. My own writing took a back burner to more important pursuits, like being a wife and the mother of 4 boys, and a homeschool educator, and helping provide a little extra income on the side. During that time, though, I also began to grasp that the spoken word can be as powerful, if not more so, than the written word. Even as a preteen giving 4-H speeches, I knew that some people were more comfortable than others when standing before an audience. While understandably nervous, I was seldom afraid. I remember once when my mom questioned whether I was adequately prepared to give a big speech. I was more confident than she. I'll never forget her apology and her compliments later that evening after the speech was over. While I can't say the same for myself, it seems to me that she's never doubted my abilities since. As a 20-something young mother, I began to understand that my love of words was also more than just something that I could use to express myself, more than just something that I could use to pursue a career, more than even just a hobby. God gave me the love of words so that I could use them to glorify Him. And I could do that by empowering, educating, encouraging, and even entertaining other women. It was then that I realized that words were my calling. But like most young women, life moved way too fast, and one calling had to give way to another. First and foremost, I was a wife and a mother, and so I devoted the majority of my time and energy to home and family, and I don't regret it at all. Still, at the age of 47, looking into the year of 2018, I had a lot of apprehension. I knew that it was going to be a year of change, but thankfully I was unaware of everything that lay before me. My oldest son was getting married, and I was having trouble cutting the strings. In addition, for the first time in 20-something years, I was preparing to take a job outside of the home. I was terrified. It was then that God gave me a word, not the word, not even a few words, a very specific word, a word that I had not thought of since my boy's earlier years in baseball. The word was balk. In the still small voice that I recognize as only His, God told me, "Trisha, don't balk. Don't hesitate. Don't back down. If I have called you to something, move forward in confidence." I thought God was talking about the job. I had no idea that He was trying to prepare me for a year that I would never forget. In addition to taking the job, and in addition to giving my oldest son away in marriage, in September of 2018, I said goodbye to my 20-year-old son, who was killed in a car wreck. In November, my oldest son gave me and my mom and sisters tickets to Christy Wright's Business Boutique Conference. I didn't expect much more than a needed girls' getaway, but what I received instead was the birth of a dream. The Girls Get Together was born as a natural offspring of my love for writing and my long-neglected call to speak and teach women. God speaks through stories. In the Bible, we call them parables. I call them life. Women often feel alone in their struggles, but God wants us to share. My goal is to share God's stories with you, to share the stories of my life with you, and to help you see how God can work in and through your stories as well. So, this is me. This is me not balking. This is me at one of the most vulnerable times of my life, stepping out in faith, like Ruth traveling to a new land, like Esther going before the king, like Mary choosing to believe the unbelievable. This is me, this girl, Trisha B. And like Peter, I'm stepping out of the boat.